Hi, today I'm going to discuss war profiteering on the anniversary of 9/11 because that seems to be more of the national interest. Sure, they fly the flags of patriotism as long as their buddies are sneaking around the back and looting the joint, just like Goodfellas, because I've been kidnapped by war profiteers who are trying to claim to be patriots. Yeah, right. It's the mob trying to make a buck. The mob who's got really scared on 9/11, in my estimation, because they screwed up so bad. They were the ones that were doing a lot of the dirty work. So they just changed hands. They got some of their new mob cronies from other mobs to do the dirty work. So I got handled by the Boston mob and part of the New York mob. That's where the mob doctor came into effect and did that hammer to the head to put me in a coma for a while. You gotta hog tie and bound and gag the victims while the heist was going on. And I just happened to be the key asset, my theoretical estimation. And this is all just speculation based upon, for entertainment purposes, of course, because I'm writing a fiction novel, even though I'm ignored. Don't give him no credence. Ain't no mind there. He crazy. Mad money, Jim Cramer versus Kramer while we pick your pocket. Marathon, Texas oil. So bank robbery seems to be the key aspect. And they're trying to hide it under mining or manufacturing or wells or whatever necessary might be happening. But and then flying the flag of patriotism, free loot, free Dom Perignon, free bitches, free whores, whatever free. Rebrand it and throw it on the market, put it in the fence. So that seems to be what's going on, is they're taking stolen goods and they're chop shopping and fencing them. Was the street language, or they take a fleet of Lamborghinis and break them down. But what they're doing is they're taking a part off of each Lamborghini and putting it on a Chevy and then calling it a Lamborghini. All the Chevys are Lamborghini. That's how they do their math. We're going to pay for a Vespa while we got a gun to your motherfucking head and we rape your family for human shield hostages, but we're going to take the Lamborghinis. Yeah, that's free. 9/11, Patriots. Let's hear Patriots Day. Patriot missile, shoot down the law. So the mob takes over control and does the dirty work. The pigs just got scared and got in their little herd, turned up little cowards and got in their little tight herds. They locked me out so the mob could do the dirty work. And the politicians and the law don't seem to give a flying fuck about anything, except for they gotta be good in the polls and the trends, and make sure. And obviously, the big soup competitive eating push was a fear mechanism. It's like you gotta look. The puffer fish gotta look real big to try to scare off any future adversaries. So they went ahead and just went on a competitive eating binge around the globe. That's why we're at war with Europe right now over economic stability. And I'm telling you, the big winner in it's Asia. Asia's got to be loving it. Asia's going to be cheering you on. Gangsta, Gangnam style. Go gangsta, go gangsta. Asia's got to love you because you just burned down you could have built a big old mean empire, but instead you got scared, or the mob took control, it seems, and they wanted to fuck the Virgin Mary of Italy, and now they're screwing Spain and Greece and anybody else who gets in the way. They really want to screw France. We already know they got they want to screw France just because they screwed us in Louisiana. It's just that mental picture. They gotta screw France, and they really want to kill the Windsors, in my estimation. They gotta get rid of I honestly think that's just my intelligence interpretation of a mad, crazy person. But I honestly think the mob in the USA wants to kill the Windsors so they can get at all that Avatar cheddar. That's another big old tree full of cheddar to get out, and they gotta mine it somehow. So it's just like they're doing with my family. Knock them over and go after all them St. Mary Dominican skirts to divvy up to the boys, the mercenaries. And then, after all the caramels, and they call it chocolate, It ain't cocaine, it's chocolate. That ain't a Lamborghini. We gonna pay you for a Vespa, JV boy, because we got a gun to your head. So the various mob factions are in control of the key principle, and then there's a big, huge shadow game cover-up. And obviously, they've involved politicians in it. They've had to. I mean, obviously, they're using bribery. What they're doing is using faction bribery. It seems like we were getting screwed from the left, we were getting screwed. Louisiana, this goes back into Louisiana was getting pinched. And so they threw us out to Texas to do the dirty work. They threw us to Texas because they needed Bush's muscle. They desperately needed, that's the uniting of the church and the state. So that, in my theoretical estimation, you got the uniting of church and state with the Bushes, and you got Clinton's handling the left over there, and they're all surrounding us, and we're being sabotaged and steered around like little mafia marionette puppets driven around, not, called crazy if we try to say anything while there's tons of astronomy evidence in the air. Nobody ever sent us we're literally on nickels and dimes while we're worth billions in access keys. So you got the faction over there, but they're desperate. They are absolutely desperate to keep this a nocturnal feeding frenzy. They can't have that's why it's Twilight. They want it like the duck hunters and the fishermen. The ducks fly and the fish bite right at dawn. They want to keep frozen dawn's what it's called. It's frozen dawn. They just want to barely peep so they get all the ducks flying so they can hunt, and all the fish fishing, and all the animals moving around for hunting. And so that's why it's frozen dawn. They just want to peep light. Then it also blocks out a lot of the stars. So they're desperate to keep it up, because if the lights came on, then they'd have to take sides in they already know that the Bushes and the Clintons are going to have to side with the government, and so it causes a schism, separation of church and state. Right now, you got that bridge of church and state, and you got your troll lord games hidden underneath, and that happens to be me, the little troll lord games under the bridge between church and state that's united with the mob. Cheap fake cement. It's not even cement, it's a sandcastle, literally, sitting on the beach. It's so cheap. I mean, we are talking mini pearl is cheap. Jew down low. How low can you go? Cheap. Shrewd. Business. They call it that good business. Jew down, basically what it is, in order for cosmetics to get screwed. You got to play a little vanity card in there. Devil's advocate there. Playing all the angles. So, in my estimation, you got this sandcastle bridge, and I'm the troll lord games from the D&D dungeon underneath, and they're desperate to hide because the sun melts that bridge like ice. They're terrified of it, because then you got to say who you with, and they don't want you to have to decide. You want to be able to play both sides in the nocturnal Twilight games. So right now it's a frozen dawn, so they got the ducks and they got the fish jumping they are jumping in the boat, cheerleading to fillet themselves and jump into your mouth. That's how fancy as chefs they got in this here Berg house. So the motive just seems to be delay competitive eating. They got to eat as much as they can, because they're screwing Europe. Asia's over there loving life because you didn't build the bridge, the Atlantic bridge, telecommunication bridge. So you're going to try to play the wizard games to control Europe and Spain and Spanish assets in Latin America. Well, what it is it's the mining. The mining, like I talked about the other day, the representative value of products. That's what it's all about. And so it's all about denial with me. And they let the mob do the dirty work. They pass me around like a soccer. They think that's the vanity for cosmetic. They're gonna show you how good a soccer players they really is over here when they play the keep away defense. You know, with could have been Prince Charming, as metaphorically speaking, for entertainment purposes only. Theoretically, based upon the Louisiana that could have been built, but they wanted to play. They wanted to play the game where they collected the chips and gambled, and they built a sand bridge. I mean, literally built a sandcastle bridge with their troll lord games, and cut off. Now they're just got to attack and divide and start butchering up all the meat. Now you got a whole heap and ton of meat down there in South America and Latin America. You got a ton of meat over there in Europe that they got to start packaging it somehow and selling it off to other factions. China's swooping in and looking like the big hero. You know, you done screwed Jesus, even though you're carrying an anti-cross around, and you try. Well, it's like I made a joke a long time ago with these Jimmy Swaggart people. I said, and this is the interpretation of Christianity. It was like, why not get have a cage match with all the deities in it to fight to be, I was making a joke, but obviously it's back to that literal illiteracy interpretation of, it. You got to play the demon deacon card on one side, then you play the angels on the other against each other. But in reality, it's a sandcastle. It's a sandcastle bridge built over the Troll Lord games, and the only answer is, who knows?